back from their international duty fit and well?
Yeah, everybody's okay, and well, the only one we haven't seen is Figueroa, but then again he played on Wednesday night in America, but he's played 90 minutes over there too, so he's okay. Everybody else, thankfully, is okay, and we've got some good news that it looks as if Corrin and Brady and the goalkeeper McGregor will be fine. So we've got 2 or 3 back as well, which will give us a little bit more firepower.
Makes a change for you to be able to sit here and reflect on positive injury news.
Well, I mean, in that respect, the international break has done us a bit of a turn, and as I've just said to the players there, a couple of days ago, I think we're now coming into the real crunch time. I think we've got 8 games in the next 6 weeks. When you consider we've played 11 games over the last 3-4 months, it tells you what's ahead of us. So the big period for me is always the Christmas period, and the more people you've got fit, obviously, the better you be able to handle it.
Especially for a game against the side who are bottom of the table.
Well, the one thing, we've had a huge home record which is enabled to sit where we are. We've had a really difficult, we're 6 away games have been against the top 9 teams in the Premier League, so it's important that our home form stacks up. Thankfully it has done, and we've done okay so far. But as we've just seen with Crystal Palace, we didn't beat them last year at all. They've still got some good players, even though they're without a manager at the moment. They put up a really good display against Everton last week, who were really unlucky apparently the week before against West Brom. And they've got good players like every Premier League team has, but we're at home. Let's hope we can beat them.
Does it make any difference if they do have a manager by the weekend or not?
Well, I mean, I think it does us a favour if he's not there, but they've had it 2-3 weeks. They're obviously taking their time with it, and as I've said, the players have shown a really good appetite for it. Last week against Everton, they played very, very well. They didn't have a lot of possession, but they stuck at their task, and they've got a lot of really, really good, honest pros in their team who'll still want to do well.
Is this the first game this season where the onus is on you, the pressure is on you, the expectation lies with you?
I think at home, against the teams in and around you, there's always that little bit of pressure. I think we put that on ourselves, because if we're going to make a fist of it in the Premier League, it's important to beat the ones who I think are going to be around us. And no disrespect to Crystal Palace, I think they're going to be around us, so we have to make sure that we win. And in that respect, it turns into a very, very, very big game.
But that's a different sort of game, potentially, to what you might play here on occasion, isn't it?
Well, I think he probably said that to me against Norwich and probably Sunderland, and no disrespect to them clubs, but they're the ones as well that we've beaten here. And it's important that, I think that's the vital thing for any club like ourselves, is can we beat the bottom half of the table? That's where we're going to pick up our points. It's very difficult. It happens. It's happened. And for me, the division's concertinaed at the moment. I mean, the big clubs have lost a few games already, which doesn't usually happen. But it'll be a bit now where they start picking up, I would have thought. The big clubs will just start now getting to grips with the Premier League. And as I said, I think that's why it's concertinaed, because a lot of the bottom teams have took a few points from the top ones.
So to your culture status, is that good news for someone like yourself, a published novelist?
I don't know how I can contribute on the City of Culture, but I'm delighted that the city has got some recognition. It seems a bit strange. 2 weeks ago it was the worst city in the country to live in. So I don't know how it quite works, but for the people involved and winning the award, why not? It's put for 24 hours at least. It's not often you see the City of Hull on News at 10, so in that respect, fantastic.
Also, I mean, it's about the city and its position in the UK in a sense, and the football club's done an awful lot about that, hasn't it?
Well, I always think of any city where actually I've been in, if the football club's in the Premier League, then of course it brings in revenues and brings in tourists, if you like, that people want to come. And if they've got the addition of coming to see a football match too, then I think it adds to the status of the city. Of course it does.
On that basis, are you steering clear of all the name stuff that's going on at the moment? That seems to be growing a little bit.
I didn't know there was. What's that? You'll have to inform me. Excuse my ignorance, but I haven't come across that, Gwen. I'm sorry.
Very diplomatic.
Very diplomatic, but I don't know what you're talking about.
I perhaps could furnish you with the details.
Oh.
I think it might be this ongoing rumble that you're referring to, Bryn, between the supporters and the owner. And I know you're in a tough position here, but what's the danger that this could be very distracting in what should otherwise be an excellent start to the season for you?
Listen, I can understand, in our country especially, we're real big traditionalists, and a lot of people have supported the club since the year dot, where it's been Hull City A.F.C. But as I've kept saying repeatedly, you know, the owner has come in and he's in a different culture. And for the money he's put into the club, if he thinks it's Hull Tigers is his way forward, then we have to respect it. It might not suit everybody. I can understand them traditionalists too. But for the amount of money he earns, if he asks us to play in pink and white stripes on Saturday, we have to do it. Because without him, all them traditionalists, without him, there wouldn't be a Hull Tigers or a Hull City, if you get me drift on that. It would be, I would think, something like Portsmouth, where you're struggling to survive. No disrespect of Portsmouth, but that's where the club would be. So we owe a big debt to him, but I can understand that a lot of people get upset because we are huge traditionalists in this country. But if the way forward for the owners that he thinks Hull Tigers is the way forward, then we have to respect it.
It's not a complete surprise that you might take that view, given that at the end of the day he pays everybody's wages here too.
Correct.
But is there a danger it could be distracting?
Well, the one thing you don't want to do, for all the great work they've done in saving the club, and not just saving the club, they've been here 2-3 years, for then being instrumental in getting the club in the Premier League, then of course the last thing you want in any football club is a distraction. It's hard enough. So I hope that it all just dies away. It doesn't seem to. It seems to rumble on, for my opinion, too long. But the owner's adamant. And I know, after having many cups of coffee with him, when he's adamant, he ain't changing. So we've got to just abide by it and say, okay. And as I said to you, as long as you don't ask us to play in pink next week, then we'll stay with it.
And I guess the priority has to be this weekend. Put this to one side for the moment.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, you know, that is the most important thing of any football club, is how you do on a Saturday. And that helps enormously. If you win a game and you're doing okay, especially in this league we're in, then everything will be forgiven. It's when you're not and you're up against it a little bit, then things become a lot less tolerant. So let's hope we can win Saturday and put ourselves in a really good position. If we win Saturday, we'll go into December being in the top 10, which will be terrific.
Final question from me. Just can we assume for the moment, or imagine for the moment, that Crystal Palace have appointed a manager and his name happens to be Tony Pulis? What can we imagine that's happening?
Well, it certainly looks that way at the minute, by all accounts.
Does that make to them,
well, all accounts, I think it'll be a fantastic appointment for them. He's been there, done it, and wore the T-shirt for a long time, Tony. And for me, he's been unfairly criticised. If you look at the job he's done at Stoke, you know, I think I've seen there before, you know, he's managed there 330 odd times, which gives a huge bag of Premier League experience. And that experience and know-how of how to handle and how to achieve to stay in the Premier League, for me, if they pick him, can be possibly the best choice they could have done, because of his past experience on teams a bit like unfancied Stoke. When he first took them there, nobody gives Stoke a chance. All of a sudden, he gets them and cements them in the middle of the table and do okay, but obviously expectations go through the roof because he's done okay. But certainly if they appoint him, then I think it would be a fantastic appointment.
What do you say, just wait till Monday?
Wait till Monday, yeah. Yeah, let's not have him around the place, yeah.
Thank you.
Steve, is it right? You published some, you wrote some novels.
Yeah, a long time ago, but I don't really want to be I don't really want to be reminded of how bad they were. I sort of had this idea. Stop it.
49 Shades of Grey, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I wish. But now I had, just because I got a GCSE in English literature, I thought I was going to be the next Dick Francis, you know, so there you go.
They didn't make a huge contribution to the income.
They didn't make any contribution at all to any income. They became a laughingstock. I think they're still on the shelves somewhere at a bought price of 99p.
40 quid on Amazon.
Are they 40 quid now, are they?
4 copies. And it's in the used bit.
40 quid and there's only 4 copies left. I've still got a long way to go with.